Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful first week of February and that your life is going good and everything is fruitful for you. I wanted to go live today and talk about a subject that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and that's like knowing when it's time to let go. So I'm titling the episode of this Trimming the Dead Ends because this morning I had a hair appointment, and as part of my hair appointment, my hairdresser cut about an inch off my hair, and I was like, oh, how much are you cutting off? Because my hair has really taken a long time to get to this length, which I'm really enjoying, but she's like, it's about an inch, but they're just dead ends, you're not going to miss it, right? And that just it hit me because it's like there's things in our lives that we hesitate and resist letting go of because we're afraid we're going to miss them. We are, worried about what life will be like without them. And so we hang on to things way, way, way too long. And so her trimming off my dead ends this morning, it just brought this to light. And it was just so timely because earlier in our conversation, she and I had talked about, she had gone on a trip recently, a ladies' trip with some friends of hers. And there was a friend of hers that she's been friends with ever since she moved to the city. And in fact, they used to share a shop together. And, during that trip, there was just some things that came out about the person that, she had already been kind of feeling like maybe this relationship, this friendship with this person, it wasn't the best thing for her. But it was just like, boom, smacked her in the face, like right there with some conversations or some things that happened on that trip. And she realized that this person who had been in her life, who'd been her, her first friend when she moved to the area a number of years ago and that she had held on to as a friend, was really not a good influence and was a person who wasn't, cheering her on. She was somebody that was, one of those people that is jealous or doesn't like when people, advance themselves. And so, she was like not looking for my hairdresser's success, like not cheering her success on. In fact, she was like secretly, wishing that things would go, south for her instead. And, she was just like, wow, here I am. I've held on to having this relationship, this friendship with this person, and I've spent a lot of time and energy and everything cultivating this. But this person kind of secretly didn't want what was best for me. They actually wanted what was not best for me. And so she realized that it was time to trim the dead ends, as in remove that friendship from her life, that it was not going to be a healthy friendship and it was going to be something that was going to hold her back. And so then she trimmed my dead ends off, which I could have easily wanted to hang on to the extra inch of length on my hair and be like, don't cut that off, don't cut that off. But in reality, when you have raggedy ends on your hair, you're only creating more raggedy ends, and it's to your demise. And so it just really made me think about that, and especially in the context of a life as a whole, right? How many things do we have, either things that are sitting in our homes, it could be food that we bought that we know is not healthy food, and yet we allow it to stay there and tempt us and we eat it and it's not good for us. Or relationships or friendships that we have, could be romantic relationships, could be just friendships that we have. And these are people that when we hang out with them, they drag our energy down, or they convince us to do things that we don't really want to do. And we kind of just, go along with the pack, and we end up like kind of getting ourselves in trouble, or just really like, acting contrary to our values because we're around that person and that influence. There's people that, send you, maybe they're constantly sending you negative news stories or things like that, where, you're in a positive mood, you get a text from them and it has a link and you click the link, and before you know it, you've read something that's, made your blood boil and, your anxiety go through the roof and whatever, right? So it's so important in our lives that not only with like our haircuts that we trim the dead ends off of our hair just to keep it healthy, but we also cull the things in our lives that are not beneficial for us. And sometimes that's relationships, sometimes it's clothing, right? I mean, how many people do have clothing that are just like, maybe you have this pair of jeans that, you know, you bought at one point and they never really fit you good, and you know, you keep saying, well, when I lose however many pounds, I'm going to wear these jeans again, and then I'm going to be happy. And all the jeans are is like a reminder. They're just basically like a subtle thing telling you that you're like not good enough as you are. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with having a goal to lose weight and that there's like a pair of jeans that you love that you wouldn't be able to fit back into. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have something that every time that you see it or every time that you touch it, it brings you down or it makes you depressed, it's time to trim those things out of your life. And, you know, I had recently, this was probably, it's back in the fall. There was a friendship that I had with somebody, and this person was, quote, my best friend starting in 6th grade when I moved to Texas from Ohio as a kid when I was 10 years old. And I met her, I think I moved when I was in 5th grade, and I met her in 6th grade, and she lived in the neighborhood, and we became best friends, right? But this person who was my best friend never wanted what was best for me. Like, this was the friend who got me in trouble over and over again. This is the friend that got me to do things like sneaking out of the house. This is friends that, you know, got me to do things, you know, that were just like, you know, she was the ringleader for stuff that was like leading you down the path of destruction. But because we were best friends and I didn't really have that many friends when I moved, and I was just, you know, had this whole awkward preteen thing going on, which I'm sure everyone knows about, you know, awkward preteen stuff. Like, I held on to this friendship, right? And this friend continued to get me into trouble and cause drama in my life. And for a long time, I actually found out, you know, like later on, like when I was in my 20s, that this friend had actually literally plotted to kill me. Like, she plotted to murder me and have it look like an accident. And this was my quote, best friend. And the person who told me it later on in life, like I said, I was like in my late 20s, was like, she's like, no, Lorna, like, she really had it planned down to the detail. It was scary how much this person who called themselves your best friend had gone, how far they had gone to plan to murder you. It was shocking, right? And I hadn't seen the girl in, you know, years and years. We reconnected. I think I was like probably my early 30s we reconnected. She's living out on the West Coast, and she came down to visit. And let's just say, like, the fact that we ever were, quote, best friends was just bizarre, because she was just like, she smoked weed every single day, and she just like, we just couldn't have been more different people. So anyway, she visited for a long weekend. She headed out, and I haven't seen her since, but like over the last year or so, like, she wanted to be pen pals. So she would write me letters, and I'd write her a letter back, like actually a letter in the mail kind of thing. And, you know, she was on my Facebook and stuff. And it was, I think it was back in the fall, might have been late summer, fall, that she had talked about something that she wasn't feeling good about. Like, I don't know if she couldn't sleep or what it was, right? I can't remember. And I suggested, like, oh, have you tried lavender? I think it was couldn't sleep. I can't remember exactly, but I was like, oh, have you tried lavender? Like, it really helps me sleep. And she just like, like, I guess she's one of those people that just wanted to complain about their problems. Because she tried to accuse me of practicing medicine without a license for suggesting that she just try lavender oil to see if that would help her go to sleep, right? Anyway, this huge, crazy, like, psycho thing, like, you know, the psychodrama ensued on Facebook, and I just blocked her. And I was just like, this is God's way of saying, like, hey, you do not need anyone in your life who ever plotted to murder you. Like, why you would even reconnect with someone? Like, that's how nice I am that I reconnect with somebody who literally plotted to murder me. Like, God was like, no, get that out of your life. So, if you have any of these toxic friendships, you know, even if there's like, oh, I've known this person since I was in kindergarten or whatever, like, it doesn't matter. Like, trim those dead ends. Like, just say goodbye, block them on Facebook, block them on any social media, and just be done. You do not need that sort of unhealthy influence in your life and people that energetically try to attack you and send negative things your way. So it is so, so important, y'all, to trim the dead ends on your hair from people in your life, dead ends, that people that are toxic for you, that have always, you know, that people that you, whenever you're in their presence and you leave, you're like, oh my God, I can breathe now. Like, get those people out of your life, right? Because if we're going to live our best lives, we have to remove the toxins, right? So the toxins can be people, they can be substances, like, you know, sugar and white flour. They can be like whatever it is that leaves you feeling drained, whether it's a person, place, or thing. Trim it out of your life. If it's clothing, donate it to a good cause. I love to donate clothes when I can to the women's shelters for battered women. That's always a great cause. If you have clothing, either your clothing of yourself or children's clothing, because they always need children's clothing at women's shelters as well. And y'all, purify your life. Trim the dead ends. Be your best self. And, you know, the best way to do that is just to start with literally getting the junk out of your life. And you'll be surprised how much lighter you feel and what you leave the door open to for good to come to you. So that is what I have for you this Friday. I look forward to checking in with you next week and see what's going on. Super excited. Sending you lots of love for a beautiful weekend.